In this video, I am sharing the 4 primary villains that live inside of those who consider themselves chosen, golden children, who truly have high order assignments that feel to be in opposition to the status quo or dangerous or just difficult. A difficult path, a left-handed path, and it won't let them go. No matter how much they have done all the good and right things, gotten married, got the college degrees, got the house, got all the things that are success, and yet they find themselves in a kind of inner angst, an existential, irresistible pull toward a higher order call, which, when we're honest, feels highly destructive to our current existence. And it opens up the door and exposes this first villain. Before I go further, if you're new here, my name is Naima, and I'm a distinct being here to facilitate those of you who identify with this message to move through these villains and all that it takes internally and externally so you can truly engage your high order assignment. Later in this video, I'm going to be inviting you into an in-person opportunity called Respect the Monster, happening in Atlanta and Houston, which is a crucible type, hot, activating alchemical space to finally create the gravity for you to sit in all of who you are so you can handle what's in you already, so you can have, do, and be what's required of you for your high order assignment. So the first villain that we are required to face, that I know you are familiar with on your path of saying a full yes to your high order assignment, is the unknown, which triggers an enormous fear because there's no blueprint. There's no A, then B, then C gives you D. This is where everything that's inside of you that you know, but it only lives in here. And that in order to actualize it, the path that you are to take is an unknown one, and to be in complete respect and agreement with, and that's where the full body yes comes, full mind, body, soul yes comes from. Yes into bringing what lives in you that you know out into your whole life. Now, being where I am today, this is sheer, absolute, magnificent glory, but and I can laugh about this now because now we're in hindsight. When I collapsed, and I've collapsed multiple times on this left-handed unknown path with no blueprint that anybody could give me. When I specifically was at the peak of success, okay, so I speak as someone who knows what it's like to live in material success and still not feel adequate when your true high order opens to you, okay? And the specific moment where I was open, I could see what the call was. And 2 things happened to me simultaneously that had me go into what some might call a panic attack. One, the unknown. I could see the call for who we are as the golden children. Chosen is another word that's used. Whatever is the word, okay? Those of us who know that we know that we know, and we have it, and we cannot not. Okay, that's how it lives in me. I cannot not. I turn into a demon of a woman if I did not do the very distinct thing that lives in me. And that is truly one of the differentiators. Let's earmark that for the collective. When you are born with a specific assignment, you cannot not do it. And if you're able to not do it and be well, that's your indicator that it's not in you in that way. However, when you cling to your material success, whatever that is, whatever you deem is esteemed and successful, and you try to cling to that and you try to live it and repeat it and act like all is well, you're in heaven, this is enough, that you're good, you will become a demon. Okay. Now, I'm demon. Hey, that's an inner state. That's an inner. I do not live. This is, humans are so fascinating with this demon terminology. Most people use it as a way to fear. But if we really get into if you want to talk about on a scientific level, the spiritual level, it's energy that is distorted and it's unrefined. That's essentially what a demon is. It's distorted and it's unrefined. If you want to talk about on the energetics of it, okay, now I'll leave that over there. With all the demons, oh God, there was the unknown of, oh my God, this opened up to me, and what does this mean with me saying yes to this? How does that even gonna look? What? Who's doing this? Oh, there's all that going on. And then the second villain was no capacity. Okay, so remember I said there's 4 villains that I'm going to be discussing in this video. The first one is the unknown. You know that you know that you know, but you don't know what it's going to be like to say yes to this fully. Not part-time, not sort of kind of talking about it, touching on it, inferring, referencing it, like talking about it emphatically as if you're talking about the real thing. But no, if you talked about the real thing, there's a whole energy that you would imbue and bring forward. It would take up your whole life because, again, it requires all of you. And if your allegiance is to your material reality right now, you got to get real. I know what this looks like. If you still are like, what's going to happen internally? You're like, what's going to happen if I say yes? But you try to come out and act like, come on, you try to come out and act like you're really doing it. See, that's how you start creating all of these. And it's because it's all in you. So those were the 2 villains that I faced at the exact same time that had me in this panic attack. 1, unknown, which triggers a fear. And then 2, realizing that I didn't have the capacity. So you know what I did in that moment? Is I ran out of my apartment and literally, like, this was something out of a movie. Ran out of my apartment, went and stood on the corner and ran to a bar and drank champagne to kick it down. Get rid of it. This is 2017. Okay. Before I go on, I want to emphasize that because we are not talking about this online, okay, like I'm talking about it now, but who else is not only talking about this, but they have gotten to the other side and they are inviting you into opportunities, whatever the opportunity is, an experience, a course, something to truly, okay, this is really what starts to separate the wheat from the shaft, okay? Many of us we are quiet. You're watching me, you're watching others. You're sitting in this purgatory. You have done all the things, okay? And I am aware of how easy it is because so many people, one, are mediocre, and you can easily hide in relationship with normal people because they just see you as right, and they don't even have it to call you forth. So that's one. That's part of what makes it easy, right? And most of us don't do anything until the pain gets great enough, and we spend so much time avoiding anything that would actually have us face that pain. This thing gets layered, okay? But I want to emphasize how talking about this matters and bringing it offline matters. See, a lot of people just think I'm a personality. They just, I'm online. They sense a separation because I'm here on this camera. You're over there looking at me. So it's easy to be like, oh, a personality. And there have been women who have signed up for things, come over and met me in real life. And then it gets really, really real. And they try to bring this sort of I have my personality and you are this other personality, and we want to bring those personalities to the real world. No. What you see here, and you look at all my videos, you go do whatever you do to go look at anything and everything online. What you see online is who I am in real life and more. When I say I'm inviting you into Respect the Monster in Atlanta and Houston, and it has a gravity to help bring you into being the physical walking gravity that can do and be what is required to steward your high order assignment, I want you to really sense what that looks and feels like. That panic that I was in, okay, because I saw there was a power like that I could not be with at the time. This environment I'm inviting you into is to hold you as you anchor into that, so that you're not on the internet watching people trying to force yourself into a kind of power because you should be able to do it because you're so powerful. So you're trying to make yourself be something. You're trying to, like, women who are like fighting men. What are you doing? You know, the men and the women are doing it. We're very tender beings. Your greatest power is soft. But all the quieter and unconscious aspects of yourself need to be faced so that when you come out clean. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to tell people, I'm dead at because the demons don't. Look, no. You are so gorgeously powerful. You don't need any antics. You don't need to perform. What you will need to do is do the very, very vulnerable work. I'm telling you, it is vulnerable. It is exposing. Okay? It's so real. It's none of this. I have, and I, believe me, I looked, the number of people I reached out to, the people who I hired. And I made a vow with myself years ago, that I would be true, that I would come to know because I actually know. Not a knowing that clings to a belief system so I can feel stable. Not grabbing onto a preferred state because if I let myself live in the unknown and actually let the real thing come through me, what is that going to mean? Where will I land? Will I have any money? What's going to happen? Can I handle it? I made the vow that I would come to know because I actually know. Not because a law told me, not because some master spiritual teacher said it with conviction in a TikTok video, not because I read it in an ancient text, not because somebody who I respect said it, not because, oh, if I say that, then that aligns me with this and I get to feel like I fit in somewhere and I'm stable and I'm like them, not because this makes me acceptable and it'll align with this belief system. And nope. I worked it. I lived it. I breathed it. I laid down with it. I let it go. I didn't cling to any of it. I let what be. And what remains when I don't clench, when I don't try to make something happen, when I don't try to speak it into existence, when I don't try to force and pull and cajole and all the myriad of things I could do, make something up and try to make these connect and try to because we can do it. I can do it, honey. I can go and, oh God, I can go align with this and make up this and take that from that because, see, that's it, that over there. And here we can enter the conversation between the male and the female. I want to park that as something to be, I think that's something that would be better engaged in a relationship, truly. There's another way to be in a relationship because this what I have come to know in my experience. First of all, get off the internet. Second of all, be real, entirely real. And that's exactly what I'm inviting you into. Respect the monster. It's only if you are serious about the real. That I don't have to worry about no malevolent entity, attack. I'm not rejecting anything. This is why I created Own All Energies. What wants to actually happen, see, because I'm tapped, what actually wants to come through is going to come through. I don't need to worry about this, that, and the third. I put this here so that the right people can show themselves. It is here. The time is now. Guess what? It has always been now. It is about who has been willing, who has allowed, who is available. The third feeling is the collective thought about a thing, also known as an egregore. So you can Google egregore. A simple definition is a shared belief by a group of people. And there's a multitude of egregores. A whole nation is an egregore, right? Every nation has a flag. It exists as an egregore. The people in that nation share a collection of thoughts. The American thought. Americans are known to be entitled and ambitious, sometimes stupid people because we have been in a shared thought about what it means to be an American. That's why so many foreigners, when we go to other countries, they experience us as entitled because the American thought is that we are the ones, we are the best, we are the leaders. And we carry that energy oftentimes unbeknownst to us into other countries. That is a kind of egregore. Another egregore that I think is very relevant to not only chosen ones, but melanin dominant chosen ones or people of color chosen ones is the collective thought of what it means to be Black, what it means to be spiritual. And the collective Black egregore, okay, just the collective Black egregore of what it means to be Black. Okay, and this is generally speaking. This is what an egregore is. I look at it as a fog of thought, a spirit of thought that thousands or millions of people carry that bind them, that they agree to, that they energize. Okay, so the binding collective thoughts and emotions that represents Blackness is one of we are oppressed, that we are struggling, that we are the lower, that we are downtrodden, that we have less, we are less, we're less educated, we're at the effects of white supremacy, okay? And that anything outside of that is not Black. You are not Black. So therefore, any person who visually represents Black, like me, who exists outside of that egregore thought and emotions of what Blackness is, less on all fronts, less money, less education, less intelligence, less rights, less. Any Black person who shows up and who represents anything outside of that thought is in some ways doesn't belong to Blackness, could even be perceived as an enemy to Blackness. And so when you come as a chosen one, as a golden child, with a higher order assignment, a message that is one of true liberation, true light, true freedom. And that true light, that true freedom, true liberation exists outside of the collective thought of Blackness, of we are oppressed in white supremacy and we cannot progress. And if we do anything that is of the Almighty, the white man will come and steal it and burn it and take it and rape it and beat it and do mind control to come and overtake us and destroy what we have. And therefore we must not ever, we must with all our might and our conviction keep ourselves suppressed and down and uneducated, because that is where we belong. That is our ordained assignment as Black folk. So what are you to do? When that villain rises in you, golden child, that villain that says, I cannot bring this light forth. I cannot bring this assignment forth. I cannot bring this high order liberation work. I cannot bring my full self, my full heart and soul and being infused with the true Almighty. I cannot bring that forth because the white man gonna tear it down. Because the collective egregore of blackness says, I dare not, because I must face destruction and death if I dare face this inner villain of the collective black thought. So I experienced this when I wanted to bring teachings, in my experience, what were high level teachings of alchemy out into my content. And my biggest fear was Black women are going to be like, B, get that SHIT out of here. We don't want to hear that. Have you felt something similar? You wanted to bring a particular light forward that appeared like darkness on the front, that appeared like, what? On the front, because what folks don't realize is you got to go through certain things to get to the light that we love to pedestalize. But have you faced something similar where you wanted to bring something that didn't fit inside the egregore thought of blackness and what it mean to be spiritual and of light and of God? And that fear of facing that collective black thought kept you in a small existence of social acceptability so people could like your content and agree with you and see you as respectable and righteous and good. And all the while you felt choked and small and contained. And you knew that there was so much more. So you lived in a kind of inner resentment toward Black people and all that. See, these are the conversations that folks are having quietly, and they don't have it until they come over to people like me. And you think you're the only one because you're not talking about it with the real ones. And not only talking about it, doing the real thing. So when I noticed this in myself, that I had this fear of Black women being like, B, get that SHIT out of here. As an alchemist, what I did was I found an open mic night in Oakland, California. Oh, where I knew for sure the room would be full of Black women, and I was going to bring my open mic experience to talk about alchemy. Alchemy as I saw it, the taboo alchemy, the alchemy that does not exist in all of your spiritual books and your spiritual teachers are telling you in your workshops and your YouTube videos about we are alchemists. And as alchemists, we do these love and light things. And yeah. And while all these workshops and all these teachings and spirituality have taught all these Black people and alchemists about how to alchemize this and how to alchemize that, the true almighty work that integrates all things, all, where I don't need to come on the internet and tell y'all I ain't scared of not that, where I don't have to force it. None of that. That this alchemy is brought forward, even if it's not talked about in nuance and detail in a video. Bring it into the work that you're doing for real. We not doing basic, good enough. I was never the woman who visualized a family and just visualized a husband and kids because that's what there is. No, that wasn't for me. And a lot of us didn't visualize that, but we're not talking about it. I'm doing my part. For those of you who are the golden children, who are called to a high order assignment, the real thing, that for some of you, it would totally destroy your existing reality. And for others of you, it would be some tweaking. Okay? They'd be major tweaks, but it'd be some tweaking. That's what this Respect the Monster in Atlanta and Houston is about. So, to finish the story about open mic, I went to open mic, and yes, it was what I expected as far full of black women. I think it was one black man there. The rest of the people were women, and it might have been about 20 people there. And I got up there. I was the second person to get up on the mic, and I talked about alchemy. When I tell you my heart was beating, racing, sweaty palmed and everything, but this was alchemy for me. And I don't even remember what I talked about. I just know I brought forth the real thing about the darker alchemical aspects to break one's visceral fear. We're talking about visceral fear, folks. We're talking about the things that would have you be a blasphemy, that would have you be, exiled from whoever, your family, the black community, the church, all the things, but it frees you. Hey, all of us have decisions to make. You're going to make your choice, okay? Like a black man said to me, you got the family bones now. See, because many of us, we get the guidance, we get the instruction, and it be quiet. The realest, you have it, is quiet. And you quietly say yes or no. And when you say no, you order your life in the no direction. When you say yes, you order your life in the yes direction. And it produces fruits either way. It's about what fruit does it produce. And does that produced fruit have you in alignment with your high order assignment? So, at the end of my open mic, the women were asking questions. There was great intrigue. It was highly, highly engaging. Then at the very end of the entire open mic night, because when I was finished with my segment, I went and stood in the back of the room because I was just so activated and like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I went and stood in the back of the room. At the end, after everybody did their open mic, the organizer came to the front of the room and she was preparing to close out the night. And people started being like, they were looking for me. Can we have her come back to the front? The audience was asking the organizer, pointing back at me, can we have her? They were looking, can we have her come back to the front? And look, had they been unwelcome to what I brought forth, Lord knows what would have happened. But they didn't. They were very welcome for what it is that I discussed. And I share that with you for two reasons. One, perhaps you can imagine the positive side of bringing forth the thing that you have been either like circling, you're on the verge, like right? And perhaps that story will help you realize, look at the positive impact of bringing forth who you really are versus just living in the fear of, oh my God. And then number two, to express what it looks like to come up right against and go right into it, the fear of the collective Black thought or whatever other egregore, because there's lots of other egregores that mean different things with nationality, race, sex, religion, fill in the blank, collective thoughts around the community you live in and what it means to live in that community, what it means to be this group, what it means to be that group, and the shared thoughts and feelings of each group, and how so much of you has been hooked into all these other ideas that you've used to keep yourself where you are. But those are the very things that are in opposition or feel opposition to what you're really after. And when you pull back and open yourself up to all energies, you realize that all of them have a place depending on what a person is after. Oh God, yes. Own all energies, and even better, be with and allow all energies. The fourth villain, inner villain, which is pretty universal, is doubt. And in this case, as a chosen one who has a high order assignment, it's doubting what you know that you know that you know. So but you act like you're still kind of like, So I won't go into that. That's pretty self-explanatory, but that is the fourth villain. And these are all inner villains when it comes to you going all in, giving your whole self to your high order assignment. So let's recap what these four inner villains are. Number one is the unknown, which triggers enormous fear. Number two is not having the capacity and being very honest that you don't have the capacity. Number three is the collective thought, whatever the collective thought and emotions that hold you in a kind of hostage because you fear if you walk straight into that thought, confront it, that it'll take you out. Oh my God. And the fourth inner villain is the doubt about what you know, that you know, that you know. So, my solution for you is the gravity of the Respect the Monster experience that I'm hosting inside of Atlanta in Houston. This is deeply, deeply it. Like, oh my God, it's pretty incredible. Yeah. It's very real, you know? And because I know the gravity of it, and it's easy to just look at a video and be like, right? But the reality of it is it's a heaviness to it because it's really coming into one's body, which is a whole other topic about fully inhabiting one's body versus, like getting pulled all over the place. And it becomes super, super gravitas, which is part of what allows you to be with all energies. And so, one thing that I've created to help segue you into the actual room is a midway. And this is specifically for our nervous system, since this is a very nervous system experience from start to the end of our time together, as I've created an intro session. It's an intro and Q&A session that I'm hosting. And this is like a midway on your way to the actual room in Atlanta and Houston. So you can click the link in the description to read exactly what this info session is about. But again, it's instead of going from looking at content, completing the application, and then arriving in the room, you can go from looking at this content, signing up for this info and Q&A session, which is 25 minutes virtual, and it's all about syncing your nervous system to get yourself ready to arrive into the room. It's really to set you up for success, because I know, being on this side of things, the push pull, the wanting to, the knowing, but still having oneself be in pause, like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I invite you to go into the description and read details about this info and Q&A session, because it's all there. If you're like, I don't need that, maybe you've been watching for years, you don't need to, put another thing in between you and the thing, because that's a thing, right? You can go ahead and complete the application to request to participate. That's also down in the description. And I invite you to share any feedback you have about this video, anything you just feel compelled to share with myself or others watching this video. You can go ahead and put that down in the comments. Either way, it is a lifelong path. It is your whole self for the rest of your life. This is one way to really start to find comfort. And it's a comfort in discomfort, a comfort in what right now you might be calling destabilization. When you say yes to this for the long game, it no longer feels like destabilization. It's you being welcome to all of the experience of being all in on your high order assignment. So it's the long game. It's for the rest of your life. It's the highest game you're going to play while you're here. Obviously, if you're a parent, it's in addition to your parenthood. But either way, whether you have children or not, this is very much in sync with your high order call, and it influences every single thing you touch, whether it's children, clients, other family members, colleagues, the greater world. So I am so internally yes to those of you who are uniquely ordained for this experience. Thank you so much for watching.